Amazon booksellers are not safe in 2024. People are getting suspended left and right. It's getting pretty ridiculous. So that's why I brought David on the channel. He's been selling on Amazon for 16 years, and he's got 5 tips for you to take action on to protect your account health and make sure that this doesn't happen to you. And if it ever does happen to you, I'm going to link another video below on how to get your account back. But this video is all about preventing account shutdowns by making sure you're taking the right actions to protect yourself. So welcome to the channel, David.
Hey, thanks for having me. You're absolutely right. It's kind of crazy. We just talked about this last week where it feels like there's just been a surge of booksellers being suspended from Amazon. And I don't know if, books are getting kicked off of Amazon. Hope not, but it definitely seems that it's more commonplace now. And so here are 5 tips that hopefully help prevent suspensions. But if you are suspended, it makes the entire process a lot more smoother to get reinstated. So tip number 1 is enrolling in account health assurance. This is a fairly new program that Amazon rolled out. And essentially think of it as a dedicated rep who knows everything about your account, who knows about the appeal process, and you're actually able to talk to. Sounds great. And here's the best part. It's absolutely free. It's part of the Amazon selling package that you subscribe to. Amazon as account health assurance is essentially a service that you don't necessarily need to enroll into, but you become eligible for after a certain amount of time selling, and as long as your account health metrics are in good shape. So how can you make sure that you stay compliant so you have access to these services? Making sure that you're regularly removing negative feedback, making sure that you're responding to account issues that have high impact on your account. Also, just making sure that you're staying on top of all the other account health metrics that Amazon displays on their account health page. And what you want to see is that account health rating above 250. If you fall below 250, you have 10 days to get it back up. But really, you want to be above 250. A lot of the people that have been selling for at least a year, year and a half, where I see their account health rating at is about 600, 650. And so that's where you should be. And that's what you want to look for to have access to this super, super valuable service. Tip number 2, email alerts. This last suspension that caused us to lose tens and tens of thousands of dollars could have been simply avoided by setting up a simple email automation that takes about 5 minutes. There are a couple of different ways to set up email automation. So you can do it through Google, or you could do it through, automated services like Zapier. But what you want to do is you essentially want to be on the lookout and set flags for any time Amazon reaches out to you from a very specific email address. That email address will be dropped in the show notes below. But essentially, when Amazon reaches out from that specific email address, you want to be on high alert because typically they're asking for documentation, whether it's invoices or a plan of action. And so setting up email alerts, that's the second tip. I probably could have prevented a lot of headache and a lot of losses just by setting up this email alert in about 5 minutes. Step number 3, this sounds so simple, but so many people miss it. Making sure that your bank statements, credit card statements, and invoices match your Amazon account business name. So many people use different, LLCs and personal name for the business and, for their bank account. Like go to a bank, open up a bank account with your business name. Make sure all the credit cards that you use is under your business name. It all lines up with what is on Amazon, because when it comes to showing sort of the paper trail, when they ask for an invoice, sometimes they ask for credit card statements as well. What happens if you have the invoice, but the credit card statement doesn't match? It's like pretty much you have nothing then. And so it's just like, it's such a simple thing to make sure that you're on top of. And so go out there and make sure that all the bank accounts and also the credit card accounts line up with your Amazon store name, or at least your Amazon business name. Step number 4, regularly auditing account health. This ties in with step number 1, but step number 4, again, just making sure that you're staying on top of the feedback, making sure that you're staying on top of any account health issues. Specifically on account health issues, as booksellers, depending on how much volume you're selling, you're going to get a ton of IP and account issues coming up where, again, customers are complaining about an item not looking legitimate, or maybe it's brand owners trying to remove their items for sale on Amazon. You want to make sure you go through and regularly clear those out. Now, what happens if you see an account issue that says high impact on your account? Oftentimes, if it's a brand targeted account issue, so one of the brands that comes to mind right now is I think it's called Eccentrics. They're like exercise DVDs. And about a month and a half ago, every single bookseller I knew got like 5 complaints from that company all in the same day. When it's a brand wide issue, kind of like that, and it has a high impact on your account, number one, you want to blacklist that ASIN. You don't want to list or sell that item ever again. Number two, you want to go through and you want to submit the appeal, but instead of actually submitting the invoice, which you actually either do or don't have, you just actually want to just close out the case. There are going to be a series of check boxes acknowledging that you tried to sell the item, you're unable to sell it, you're going to remove it. And I think there are like 8 check boxes that you have to click. You want to clear it out, submit it, and then it'll clear it out. And so that will have no adverse effect on your account, assuming it's a brand wide sort of account issue. But you just want to make sure that you're regularly clearing those out because those actually do impact your account health. And then lastly, the last tip is placing bulk orders with Goodwill, placing bulk orders with suppliers. And this is primarily so that you have an invoice. One of the things that I recommended in the past is placing a bulk order with Goodwill maybe once a quarter. So that way, at least you have some sort of invoice available to you to present to Amazon should they ask for it. But here's an even better tip. Build relationships with your suppliers. That's really what you want to do, is you want to build relationships with your supplier. So that way, if Goodwill ever asks for the invoice, and let's say you don't have the invoice, you can work with the supplier on generating the invoice that most matches sort of the time frame that you purchased from, the dollar amounts, and also the ASIN in question. So a lot of the people watching this probably aren't selling bulk books. Just statistically, a lot of them are probably cherry picking. And so what I would recommend is building a relationship with your local thrift store. Maybe it's your local bookstore. And what you want to do is build a relationship with them. And maybe once a month, go in and say, hey, these are all the receipts that I have from you. You're going to have the little thermal receipts. You're going to want to ask them to reformat that into an invoice format that Amazon will actually accept. Amazon will not accept little paper receipts. They want invoices showing the supplier name, supplier details. They also want to see that it's your Amazon business that's purchasing it. And so they want to make sure the name on the invoice matches with your Amazon account, as well as the address, email, phone number. All that needs to match up. And of course, you also want the ASIN on the invoice as well. Fortunately, Amazon is not as strict with ASIN being on the invoice, and I'll get to that here in a second. But like typically, most invoices will just say, bulk books, or you purchased 300 books from this sale for $1 a piece. Amazon will, I've seen this countless times. Amazon will accept if you don't edit the document, but you essentially mark up the document to say, hey, this specific ASIN in question came from this purchase. And so unless you have really good handwriting, I typically recommend, using a digital file editor, like a PDF editor, in order to do that. Speaking of which, I guess this is a good time to pitch something that I've been working on for the last couple of months, which is I just presented a lot of information, and sure, you can take good notes, but there are a lot of things like, hey, what if you don't know how to set up email automations? Or what if you don't know how to mark up PDFs? Or what if you actually want to know what the exact timelines will look like? I have a comprehensive guide that I put together over the last couple of months from my own experience and other folks' experience as well. And that's going to be available in the notes below as well. But those are the 5 tips to at least protect yourself in 2024 from account suspension as a bookseller.
Mm-hmm. Really appreciate that, man. And yeah, if you guys click that link below, David worked hard on this. His account was suspended not too long ago, and that's what inspired you to write this guide. It's a short guide. It's jam-packed with information, but if you're an Amazon bookseller, it's invaluable. There's not a lot of information that's helpful out there for Amazon booksellers. And like I was saying in the previous video, a lot of these law firms or account shutdown companies, they'll promise the world to you, but they're really good at helping wholesale or online arbitrage people because they understand that game. They understand you need to get a retail receipt from Walmart, upload it, blah, 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 but they don't understand books. So everything in the guide is specifically for booksellers. And David kept in mind, not everyone's a big bookseller. A lot of people are cherry pickers. So this guide can help everyone. And David's also super responsive too. So, if you purchase the guide and reach out to him, I think you have some information in the guide or your email or something in there that talks about, we talked about potentially you offering a service. We don't know at the time of the video if you'll still be up for that or not, because you guys are a mess to work with. People whose Amazon accounts are shut down, they're emotional. They, they want everything fixed, and, you can't blame somebody for not wanting to work with them. But David put together this guide, and you can go check it out below. And you can message David at Dave Can Read on Instagram, and he might reply to you.
Absolutely. My hope is that this guide is exhaustive and comprehensive enough where, again, it covers any and all issues that you might encounter as a bookseller. And then one thing I will say is I'm already working on version 3 of this guide, which will be available. If you purchase version 1, version 3 will be available to you at no charge. And so, again, I'm constantly iterating on this based on the most recent information that I'm getting from myself and other sellers. So definitely a great resource to have.
Awesome. Appreciate you, David.
All right. Thanks.
Have a good one.